Here are 15 of the best Ask Reddit stories for today. I hope you enjoy and remember to subscribe. It really helps us out. We post new videos every day.
I'm sick of people telling me I'm not manly because of the way my relationship with my girlfriend is built. I have to talk about this somewhere, so I decided to do it here. I live together happily with my girlfriend. We both decided that she should be the one making all the money because she makes more than twice the amount of what I could make with my qualifications. So we decided that I'm gonna be a stay-at-home husband. We're not married yet, but we plan to. While she is making the money, I take care of the household all by myself, taking care of the dogs, and even though she provides the money, I do the financial planning and the paperwork. I also have a mini job where I work maybe 2 days a week. But sometimes people, mainly men, tell me I'm not manly for being financially dependent on my GF, and I don't know what their problem is. Even some male family members say that sometimes, and it pisses me off. Why can't they just mind their own effing business? I love the way this relationship works. My girlfriend always tells me how she loves to spoil me, and sometimes she even brings me little presents like games for my PlayStation 5, or she takes me out for dinner. The only thing that I don't like about that is that I wish I could return the same energy, because I want her to feel love the same way she makes me feel, and I don't make enough money with my mini job to do so. Yes, I know that money probably isn't necessary for I'm talking about spoiling her with gifts as well, or something like that. I don't feel like I'm any less of a man because of that. We're in 2022. Let people live their lives and mind your own business.
So my girl almost died 3 fucking times in my apocalypse dream cause she don't fucking listen. Now I'm irritated. The male version of you cheated in my dream.
What's the greatest mental health tip you've gotten? Pretend you are your own child. Weird concept, but hear me out. That negative self-talk that's beating you down, would you speak to a child like that? What would you say to your inner child if someone told them they were an idiot or were fat or were useless or unloved? Practice a little kindness toward yourself. I'm trying really hard to do this. This concept helps me extend compassion toward myself. Never evaluate your life when you're tired. This is so true. Ever notice things seem much worse at night when worries seem at their worst? The next morning your brain can think of ways to fix them, and most times they aren't there the next day. Edit. My mother told me this once and I've never forgotten it. Edit 2. Thank you for all those awards. Very kind of you. Wishing you all well. What seems harmless but is incredibly dangerous. Nurse. I had a teenage girl come from home economics class. She was sewing and had a pin between her lips. I mean, who hasn't done that? She sucked it in and it got lodged in her throat. While waiting for a scope, she felt it dislodge and went deep into her main bronchial. She required major surgery. Had a young boy running with a toothbrush in his mouth. Got jammed way deep, almost hit a major artery. Oceanside cliff blowholes. People think they're so much fun to stand around and play with. You fall into one of those things, you aren't getting out. The waves will just bludgeon you against the rocks until you die, or you're lucky enough to drown first. What is something legal that should be illegal? Hospital specialists sending you a bill before they even send it to insurance. Do you know how many people pay for the bill without even looking at it or questioning it? They double dip. It's so messed up. The online surveillance economy. Advertising companies and social media companies have set up the largest surveillance operation in human history. Not only are they tracking what websites you visit and everything you do on social media, they also track offline things like your location and movements, as well as your credit card purchase history and credit history. If the government was doing this, people would be crying bloody murder. Online processing and convenience fees. It's not a convenience if it's the only way to buy something, it's just part of the price that you're artificially separating to make it look like it costs less. What's the worst mistake you've seen someone do in their job? Forget they had cocaine in their pocket while crossing a border. This led the Austrian Border and Customs Police to open up about 100 cans of exposed film stock that was in the van the guy was driving. Film stock from a very expensive film shoot the week before. The result was second unit had to go back and reshoot an entire action set piece for the film. Line producer told me the mistake cost about €5 million. I worked at a car dealership several years back. There was a new mechanic who was there barely a week, and tasked to go fill all the brand new, top of the line, biggest diesel trucks on the lot. Diesel. The guy filled all the trucks with regular gas. At the gas station down the street. Then drove them back to the lot. He was fired pretty quickly after that. What was great advice 20 years ago, but definitely isn't now? In high school, as part of one of my classes, they brought in a lady who worked for some recruiting firm for a few days to teach us how to do resumes and cover letters and such, and she told us even if a place has an option to apply online, always go in person and pick up an application. No one takes online applications seriously. My dad told me once, son, you shouldn't schedule a single vacation day the first year of your job. It shows you're committed. To look after your phone battery, you should let it go all the way down to 0 and then charge fully to 100. Get an ARM loan on your house. Values go up like 10-20 each year, and by the time the load adjusts, flip that house for a sweet profit. Buy that house. Sure, it seems weird that you qualified for such a high home loan, but I'm sure they wouldn't offer it to you if you couldn't afford it. Amateur radio operators, what is the creepiest, weirdest thing you've heard on the radio? I was tuning around 4 MHz late one night, and came across a gentle, Mr. Rogers-like voice saying things like, "Daniel? Daniel, can you hear me? There are people here who want to speak with you. Daniel, you need to tell us where you are. We are here to help you." He continued to call Daniel's name, but no answer. No call sign, station ID, names or anything, just "Daniel, can you hear me?" At one point, you could hear someone crying in the background. It was very unsettling. Not a ham, but I've heard the buzzer live before on a vintage receiver. It's creepy to say the least. One second you can be listening to an FM broadcast and the next second you can switch to SW and tune into the buzzer. The questions instantly flood your head, of what is it and where is it? It's like the audio equivalent of a liminal space. What scientific experiment would you run if money and ethics weren't an issue? I'd raise a group of children from birth to adulthood, kinda a Truman Show thing, without any contact with music, and see how it affects their lives and personalities. I'd make sure everything else would be normal, but music would be edited out of their lives. That Doctor Who episode wherein they bred artificially grown humans, infect them each with all known diseases so that they can develop antibodies cures. Not necessarily a scientific experiment, but a series of experiments to see how you can control nerve sensations from the brain and whether you can create VR that can perfectly mimic the sensation of touch whilst being motionless. As if you're moving and touching something in a virtual world but not in the real world. Is that even possible? Have a baby human raised by apes, basically to see if Tarzan scenario would occur and the human is able to communicate fully with the apes. What's a minor confession you would like to make today? There was a 3-week period of my life where every day I would purchase a large Dairy Queen Blizzard, then park and consume it alone in my car. One day I finished my Blizzard but wasn't satisfied. By this time I had been going to the same Dairy Queen for so long the drive-thru workers recognized me. Instead of pulling through the drive-thru again, I shamefully drove 20 minutes away to the next Dairy Queen and got another there. A friend I hadn't talked to in a while hit me up with a DM on Twitter and I was like, oh, yay, I haven't talked to them in a long time, only to found out they were pitching their Kickstarter, so it made me a little sad. Currently eating an ice cream sandwich and intentionally concealing it from my 2-year-old so he doesn't demand a bite. What is the most $1 has ever gotten you? Did this thing with Scouts where we were given a quid to buy something with and then had to try and swap it for something better. Ended up with one of those VR headsets you put your phone in, a pair of glasses with a fake nose attached, more perfume sticks than any rational group of 16-year-olds could ever need, and a poster for a musical happening in the town that week, a wife. I signed up for a river tour in a foreign country. It cost me an extra $1 to ride in the first boat leaving, didn't want other boats in the way of my photos. Met someone on that boat who later introduced me to her cousin. Been married 8 years. What screams insecurity but most people don't realize? When you achieve something or improve your life in any way, and their first instinct is to tease or make fun of you, it actually screams instant jealousy. Always having something negative to say when something good happens to someone else. For example, oh, you're going to hate that new job, or they should have done X instead. Just be happy that someone else is happy. Never apologizing. Some people will twist the story, change the way it happened and retell it so convincingly that they'll believe their own nonsense but will never apologize when they found a point that makes them look better than the other person and continue to overstay on that point. Edit. The situation is subjective, and I'm talking about the situation whereby the person punches down on someone to make themselves feel good. I did not mean for a person who requires positive affirmations. What was your "it can't be that easy"? It was that easy moment in your life. Suing someone in small claims. It was surprisingly easy because my case was rock solid and I had a professionally printed document of evidence, witness statements, and precise records sent over to the court, while the defendant did literally nothing but send unlabeled loose printouts of my Facebook page as her so-called evidence. It was a very quick judgment for plaintiff. One of the kids I babysit was going through a phase of "I want to be a baby again." Jealous of her sister. Weeks of gentle parenting and such. You know, it worked? I was eating ice cream and she wanted some. I said, "Babies don't get ice cream." That was it. She was done. Got a salary request when applying for a job, accidentally wrote double what I meant to write since the number keys were right next to each other. They accepted anyway. Edit. Well, that exploded. What screams this person peaked in high school to you? My ex-stepmother constantly bragged about being a cheerleader in high school and winning a beauty walk in a town of like 500 people. She was still bragging about these the last time I saw her. She was in her mid-40s. I had a conversation in a bar with a drinking buddy years ago. The guy kept going on about the one that got away. How perfect she was and their chemistry together, how natural it was, how he hasn't felt that way about any girl since, yada yada. He was feeling pretty sorry for himself and uninterested in meeting anyone else because they could never compare. When I asked how long ago it was that she moved away, he said 8th grade. LMFAO. The people that ask you to join those MLM schemes selling body wraps or the like. Anyone that has a Salt Life decal on their car when they live nowhere near the ocean or even a salt mine. You get $1,000 per person you annoy. What is the fastest way you can become a billionaire? People here are thinking too small. Cause a significant delay in the start of a big game, Super Bowl, World Series, Stanley Cup, etc. Everyone there in the millions watching at home will be annoyed. Boom. Instant billionaire. Take out a bunch of TV and radio ads endorsing both Trump and Biden simultaneously using Gilbert Gottfried sound bites as the narration. Be the dude at the airport terminal telling people they gotta do another loop, and can't wait there for people coming off their plane. I'd probably only have to do a half day at LaGuardia. I can't say that the advice just be yourself has always worked out well for me, but this sounds like it might be the exception. What quietly screams rich wealthy? Have a friend who is moving to the Bay Area to work for a non-profit. Part-time. She didn't know what her salary would be. Not hesitating to eat in a restaurant with no prices on the menu. I cleaned huge houses for a living, and to me it was the custom-built Lego rooms with cabinets floor to ceiling full of organized Lego sets. Not knowing the price of everyday stuff, like groceries or electricity. Having a pool house. And letting guests stay there because it's a nice pool house. Paying for everyone's food, picking up the tab when done in a passive and nonchalant way. If you use money to get time instead of time to get money. When you try to assist the police with crime by dressing up as a giant bat. Spontaneity. Just talking about something or someplace and doing it or booking it there and then.